This video is going to go over the steps of using your TI30XS calculator to handle fractions, which is probably one of the most important features in it for use on the test. So I have written out some problems to the left that I will work through as examples. I'm going to start out, as we always do, with hitting the clear button to make sure there's nothing in the calculator. And the first button we're going to review is this one right here, that in the white text shows n over d. That is how you enter a basic fraction. So you'll see that once I click on that, we get the form of a fraction. And we can put the number 1 in the top, click on this down arrow. That brings us to the denominator, and we enter 3. So I'm entering that problem to the left, 1/3 plus 2/5. I need to click to the right to complete the entry of that first fraction. Then I'm going to put the addition symbol, and I'm going to go back and add the other fraction. So same thing, click the n over d button, 2, the down arrow, 5, and the right arrow to complete that second fraction. Then everything is entered, so we can just click enter, and we get the answer in fraction form of 11/15. So that's the first problem. So let's clear that out. And now let's do another operation that is frequently asked, which is to convert an improper fraction where the numerator is greater than the denominator to a mixed number. So we have 17/3 over there. We want to convert that to a mixed number. So the first thing that we're going to do is use this same button to enter our fraction of 17/3. We put in 17/3. We move to the right. Now we're going to use another button, which is the one right next to it to the right. But we're going to use the yellow function that's above. It shows n over d, 2 arrows, u n over d. That is the symbols that is used to indicate that you're switching back and forth between a mixed number and an improper fraction. So we need to click the second button in order to use that. We click this, we get that same notation on the screen, and now we can click the enter button. And you can see that it gives us our answer of 5 2/3. Now, if we had a mixed number and we wanted to go to an improper fraction, we could use that same button. So we're going to go back to second, click it again, and it takes us back the other way. So you can see that that function figures out which form you have, and it gives you the other form. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is the sum of 2 mixed numbers, which it can be one of the more difficult fraction kind of problems. So this is where your calculator comes in really handy. So we're going to use the same button, but we want to use the upper function now, the one that's in yellow, u n over d. So in order to get that, we click this and then this. That's what allows us to enter a mixed number. So I'm going to put 2 in there for the whole number. Go to the right, and now we'll put in the fraction part, 1 over 3, and to the right. And then we can put our addition symbol, and now we're going to enter the other mixed number, 5 9/16. So I'm going to click this again, second, this button, and we can put in the 5, arrow to the right, 9, down arrow, and 16, and then the right arrow to complete that entry. And we will hit enter now. And we get a pretty ugly looking improper fraction of 379 over 48. Now we can use that conversion to convert that back to a mixed number, because when we add 2 mixed numbers, they're expecting we're going to provide the answer in terms of a mixed number. So there's one more step here. We're going to click second, this button here. We get that symbol up above, n over d, 2 arrows, u n over d, indicating that that's the conversion between an improper fraction and a mixed number, and we hit enter. And now we get our improper fraction of 7 43/48. Okay, a couple more things. Let's talk about converting a decimal to a fraction. So the easiest way to do this is to type in the decimal and then just click this button above the enter key with the 2 arrows and then enter. And that recognizes that you entered a decimal and you probably want a fraction. The other way to do this is you may have noticed a button up above right here, F to D. It will do exactly the same thing. But to me seems a little bit more involved because we need to do this. We need to hit the second key, then that button, and we hit enter, but we get exactly the same thing. The other thing I wanted to point out at this point is if we clear this and we put in 0.125, and then we click on this button above the enter key, and we get 1/8. If we click on it again, it takes us back the other way immediately. So this button really goes back and forth once you've entered that problem. So pretty handy feature. Let's clear this out. And lastly, let's talk about going from an improper fraction to a decimal. Now we could use these same functions that we've used for the problems up above, but it's really unnecessary because really all we need to do in this case is the division. I'll show it both ways though, just so that we can review those functions again. If we do division, we're going to get 2.25. If we clear that out and we enter that as a fraction using this button up here and over D, we get our fraction symbol. We enter the top as 18. We enter the bottom as 8. We complete our entry by clicking that arrow to the right. And then we come down here and we hit fraction to decimal. And we also get 2.25. So it works that way. And if you're comfortable doing it that way by entering the fraction, that's great. If you're more comfortable doing the division, that's fine too. So I hope that was helpful in terms of giving you an overview of how to use the fraction key on your TI30XS.